Hello everyone. Just going to make a quick video about the question that's coming up on tomorrow's ballot regarding replacement of the school roof and the 2.5 debt exclusion that we are seeking to complete that project. Seen a lot of differing information out there and just want to put out something from us that is, as close to fact-based as we can. So first of all, I want to address the 2.5 debt exclusion question and why we would be pursuing that. So, there's been some comments out there about the town needing to reduce its budget in order to afford this project and so on and so forth. And it's actually not true. So the town has plenty of capacity within its normal budget to fund this project. We are pursuing a 2.5 debt exclusion because one, it's the most transparent process that we can possibly follow. It's a two-stage process. It first has to go to town meeting, which it did on June 22nd, and the 109 voters that were there voted to push that forward to the ballot. And so now it is a question that you'll be able to vote on if you haven't already tomorrow, September 1st at the polls. And the debt exclusion process is really nice because once the project is approved, that money can only be used for that specific purpose. So in this case, you'd be financing, say, just a little over $2 million for 20 years, which comes out to just shy of $40 per tax bill per year for the next 20 years, close to $37.50, but call it 40. So, that's one of the reasons why we do it. The other reason that you want to pursue that is that $2 million is a lot of bond capacity to eat up in the normal budget. And so that doesn't leave you a lot of wiggle room should something occur in the near future in which the town needs to borrow money to complete something. So think natural disasters, think pandemics, think things like that. So if you look at what happened in communities around us when the pandemic hit, they instantly had to lay people off, reduce services because their cash flow took that big of a hit. We didn't have to do any of that. We made some small adjustments. We did some layoffs, but services by and large were not impacted, and that's because we pursue things like this to make sure that our budget is in a healthy position. So now to talk about the roof project specifically. The Quarry Hill roof was completed in 1991. The material for the roof was a membrane. It was chosen by the building committee and the architects. The building committee was comprised of Monson residents and voters. And so they selected that material. The building was designed to support the weight of that material. And then obviously the building's completed, and 29 years later, here we are. For reference, I went to 6th grade in that school. I'm now 40, and my roof is a little worn as well. So it's quite simply end of life for that material that they chose to put on that. It has about a 25-year life expectancy. We're at year 29. They've been consistently maintaining it and patching it. However, at a certain point, it's just not worth doing the maintenance. Not doing the maintenance, but the repairs wind up being unproductive. So we had a very large section blow off in one of the recent windstorms. It was able to be repaired at a considerable expense, and now it's just time. If you lose a 100-foot section of that roof, we're going to be in some pretty big trouble. So we did pursue this project under what's called the MSBA, Mass School Building Authority Accelerated Roof Program. That program gave us about 60% of the money that is estimated for the roof project, which is about $5.1 million. So that means that the state MSBA is going to pay $3 million of that, and we're going to be on the hook for $2 million. It's a pretty good program. I think that we should certainly take advantage of that money. I have seen some comments that that's my tax dollars anyway, so I'm really paying the full amount, and that's accurate. thing to keep in mind is that if we don't use the grant program from the state, then your tax dollars are going to go to a roof program or a roof project in some other town. So you might as well, if you're paying that money, I say, let's bring that money back here. Any grant program we can be successful at receiving, we should pursue. I've also seen comments that $5 million is too much for the roof. It's a lot of square feet. The product is pretty expensive. And we have to follow the state's program on this to be able to get, the grant money. So even if, you were to save some money on the roof, you're most certainly going to spend more than $2 million. And so, to me, I think we should just bring that money back if possible. So the other thing I've seen is questions on design, and I won't support the roof unless it's metal, or I won't support it unless this. So this building was designed around this roofing product, a membrane roof. And so while technology has changed and we're going to use a slightly different product, you can't change the entire scope of what you put on that building because snow loads change. The pitch of the roof is designed by what product you're going to put on it. So, we want to stick with something that is similar in weight, similar in application, because otherwise you start spending money on other things that, are needed to put in this newer type of roof for what's popular in 2020. And, you wind up spending a ton of money trying to make a different system fit. There's also been some concern regarding, the foundation of the building is crumbling. And it's not. So there's been some cracking. Some of it was due to age and settling. Some of it is due to, shifts in the water table and shifts with water management. So this roof project does help with that. And then some of it is just purely cosmetic. So what happens is they built a building with concrete block over steel and, steel I-beam construction. And those materials heat or expand and contract due to heating and cooling at different rates, and therefore they crack over time. So nothing safety related there. It's a solid building. And I think that, if you look at what happened with Hillside or any of those spaces, if you don't do the maintenance and you don't replace the roof when it needs to be replaced, you start getting water infiltration. And while I think Hillside is obviously a different animal, water will deteriorate the building very rapidly. So, it's a choice of, do you want to replace the roof and keep that building viable for years to come, or do you not want to do it? And, we're certainly going to be chasing other problems and potentially, have another building that we can't use for anything, which I think would be silly. So, that's pretty much the gist of it. I've been taking about 10 to 20 calls a day on the roof project and the financing. I know Dr. Clark has as well. But, this has been a long project. We're about a year into it, maybe a year and a half. And we've been doing a lot of work on this to get it to this point. This is not something that we would put together just on a whim. It definitely needs to be done. I'm a voter and resident of town, and I can tell you I voted early and I voted yes. I think it needs to be done, and I think it would just be foolish not to take advantage of this state grant while we can. So that's about it. Stay safe, everybody. We'll see you at the polls tomorrow. All right. Thank you.